All right, everyone, get ready. Because today we're diving headfirst into the world of how businesses make those huge purchasing decisions.
The ones with millions of dollars on the line,
You know it, the kind that affect the stuff we use every single day.
right? Like when Apple picks a battery supplier for the next iPhone.
Exactly. It's decision making on a whole other level.
For sure. And this time we're not talking about the early stages like brainstorming.
Yep.
This deep dive is all about what happens after a company knows what it wants.
It's like we're getting a behind the scenes look at the big negotiations and strategies,
Absolutely.
our guide for this journey.
I wonder.
Well, it's a recent article, The Business Buying Process, Part 2.
From those experts at Procure for Marketing.
You got it. They're going to help us break down all the ins and outs.
Because it's not always as simple as lowest price wins.
Yeah, you're telling me, did you know those contracts get super detailed?
Oh, yeah.
They cover things like when payments happen and what happens if the product isn't quite right?
It's not a one-time deal either.
No way.
There's a whole performance review process that can make or break future partnerships.
So let's jump right in with that first stage.
Okay, which one?
The one Procure for Marketing calls proposal solicitation.
Yes.
I thought it was just about getting quotes.
Oh, it's way more than that.
Really?
It's about finding the perfect partner, not just the lowest bidder.
Okay, so imagine Apple's looking for that new battery supplier.
Right.
They wouldn't just email everyone asking for a price.
You're thinking, hey, how much for a battery? Not exactly Apple's style.
Definitely not.
They'd put together a detailed request for proposal, or RFP.
An RFP.
Yep, outlining everything they need.
So it's like a super specific wish list.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Instead of toys, it's all about battery specs, production capacity, sustainability.
Little shebang.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's Apple's way of saying, here's what we want in a long-term partner. If you can't handle it, don't waste anyone's time.
So they might actually say no to the cheapest option.
Sometimes. Yep.
That's wild. Why would they do that?
Well, think about it. The article even gave an example.
Let me in.
This company chose a pricier supplier because their quality control was better.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that higher initial cost. It was balanced out by fewer problems later, saving them cash in the long run.
So it's all about looking past the price tag and seeing the long-term value?
Exactly. And that brings us to the next big step.
Ooh, which one?
Supplier selection.
That pressure is on.
For sure. Now, Apple's got a ton of proposals, each with its pros and cons.
How do they even choose?
It's tough. Price is still important, but now things like delivery speed, quality, even the supplier's reputation matter.
Okay, so it's getting complicated.
It is, but the Procure for Marketing article had a great example to explain it.
I'm all ears.
All right, so picture this. 3 potential suppliers for Apple's batteries.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
First, there's Supplier A.
Okay, supplier A.
They're the budget-friendly option.
The cheapest one.
Yep. But their delivery times are all over the place.
Yeah.
And their quality control is iffy. Gotcha. So what about the second one? Supplier B. They're the premium pick.
Fancy.
They cost more, but they're known for making top-notch batteries, exceeding all those industry standards.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So who's number 3?
Supplier C, they're the middle ground.
Right in the middle.
Their price is somewhere in between, and they're known for being reliable and efficient.
3 very different options. How does Apple choose?
Well, this is where data-driven decisions come in. They analyze everything, both their immediate needs and their long-term plans.
So do they think, what are the risks of going cheap? Could delays or quality issues mess up production and hurt our brand?
Exactly. It's a real balancing act. They have to find a supplier who not only meets their current needs, but also helps them reach their overall goals.
So it's not just buying a part, it's investing in a partnership that could impact their product and brand.
That's it. And it leads us to a stage that's often forgotten.
Ooh, tell me more.
It's called order routine specification.
Okay, so the deal's almost done. They've picked their supplier, but now they have to figure out all the tiny details.
It's like creating a blueprint for the entire relationship.
Interesting.
They need to be clear about every little thing to avoid surprises and reduce risks.
Okay, so give me an example.
We're talking the exact number of batteries, specific delivery dates, and I don't mean sometime in the fall. I mean like precise dates, maybe even times of day.
Wow, I never thought about that level of detail.
It's super important, especially with complicated supply chains and tight production deadlines.
It's like a giant checklist to make sure everyone is on the same page.
You got it. And it's not just about logistics.
What else is there?
They'll also talk about payment schedules, maybe with payments tied to specific milestones.
So Apple doesn't just give them a blank check.
Nope, they set it up so payments are made as certain things are finished.
That makes sense. It protects both sides.
Exactly. Apple doesn't pay for something they haven't gotten or that's not good enough, and the supplier knows they'll be paid fairly for doing their job.
Smart. But what if something goes wrong?
Like what?
What if the batteries are faulty or late? That could mess up Apple's whole production schedule.
That's where warranties and those penalty clauses come in. It's all about reducing risk.
So Apple would say, if you're late or the quality is bad, there's a penalty.
Exactly.
And those penalties, they're probably not small, are they?
Especially for a company like Apple. Even a tiny delay can cause huge problems.
I bet those negotiations can get intense.
They can, but remember, this stage is also about creating a strong foundation for the relationship.
So it's not about one side winning, it's about both sides being happy.
Right. Successful negotiations here are all about finding a compromise that benefits everyone.
This whole process is so much more complicated than I thought.
It is, and it shows how much strategy and thought goes into every decision a company like Apple makes.
It's like a giant chess game where each move can affect the whole company.
And just like in chess, the players who think ahead are the ones who win.
Well said. But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Oh.
there's one more super important stage we need to talk about.
Which is?
The performance review, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It doesn't just end when the batteries are delivered.
There's more to it than that.
Oh, definitely.
Hmm.
We've only scratched the surface here.
All right, let's dive into this performance review thing.
Yeah, it's a big deal, but a lot of people forget about it.
It's like you don't just say, thanks for the batteries, see ya.
Not even close. Remember our Apple and Supplier B example?
Mm-hmm.
Apple wouldn't just take the delivery and call it a day.
Right.
They'd carefully review how Supplier B did across all kinds of things.
So it's a report card for the supplier. Like they get grades.
Kinda. And those grades have real consequences.
Yeah, I bet.
The review can change everything. Apple might renegotiate the next contract, stick with this supplier, or even find a new one.
Makes sense. It's all about learning and getting better at this whole buying process.
Exactly.
But what exactly does this review look at?
It's more than just, did they do what the contract said?
Oh, okay.
Apple might look at how Supplier B communicated, how responsive they were.
So were they on top of things?
Yep. Did they solve problems quickly? Were they easy to work with? Did they meet deadlines? Was the quality consistent?
It's like when you hire someone to remodel your kitchen.
I see where you're going with this.
You care if they finish on time and within budget, but you also want the whole process to be smooth.
Right. Did they communicate clearly? Were they respectful of your space?
Exactly.
And just like with a renovation, if Apple's impressed with Supplier B, they'll probably hire them again.
But if they're not...
That could mean some tough talks and maybe the end of the relationship.
Wow.
Apple might change the terms of the next deal, find a completely new supplier, or even start making the batteries themselves.
So this review isn't just a formality, it's how Apple manages its suppliers.
Exactly. They're always checking and improving their supply chain to get the best stuff.
This is blowing my mind. But it makes sense now why each stage is so important.
I'm glad it's clicking.
It's not about finding the cheapest deal. It's about finding the right partner, building a relationship, and making sure everyone wins.
That's the heart of it. But let's go back to that order routine specification stage for a sec.
Okay, rewind time.
What kind of nitty-gritty stuff would Apple and Supplier B be figuring out?
Give me the inside scoop.
Well, we talked about quantities, right? They nailed down the exact number of batteries.
Apple doesn't want too many or too few.
Exactly. And remember those delivery timelines? They get super specific here.
Like down to the minute.
Almost. They might even decide on the type of transport, air or sea, which changes the cost and speed.
Wow, it's a carefully planned operation.
It is. And then there's payment. That can get pretty detailed too.
Apple's not just writing a blank check, right?
Right. They might tie payments to those milestones we talked about.
So part of the payment is made when the first batch arrives.
Then more after they pass quality checks and so on.
It's like a series of checkpoints, making sure everyone is doing their part.
Exactly. It protects both Apple and Supplier B.
Makes sense. But what if, let's say, the batteries are late or some don't work?
You're thinking about those production delays.
Exactly.
Well, that's where the warranties and penalty clauses come in again.
So there's a real financial hit if the supplier doesn't meet the standards.
Oh, yeah, and those penalties can be big, especially with Apple. Even a small delay can cause a chain reaction.
I bet those negotiations are tense.
They can be. But this stage is also about building trust.
So it's not just about a strict contract, it's about finding solutions that work for both sides.
You got it. The best negotiations here create a win-win.
And hopefully that leads to a long and happy partnership.
Exactly. One where Apple and Supplier B feel good about the deal they made.
Okay, so let's jump ahead. The batteries are delivered. They're all good. Apple's making iPhones like crazy. The end, right?
Not quite. Remember that performance review? It all comes back to that.
Right. It's like a final report on how Supplier B did.
And it's a chance for Apple to learn and make better choices in the future.
So it's not just about checking boxes. It's about getting valuable information.
Exactly. And they might find things they could improve next time.
Like what?
Maybe the quality was great, but communication could have been better.
This reminds me of times I've gone with the cheapest option and regretted it.
Oh, I've been there.
The quality was bad or the customer service was awful.
It happens. And it shows why this whole process matters, even if you're not making million-dollar deals.
So how can we use these ideas in our own lives?
That's the question, isn't it?
Mhm.
And it's something we'll explore in the last part of our deep dive.
So we've talked about Apple and these big companies,
Yeah.
but this performance review idea, it makes me think,
About what?
it's not just for giant businesses, is it?
You're right. It's something we can all use.
Like if you're hiring someone to, I don't know, remodel your kitchen,
Yeah.
you wouldn't just pay them and hope for the best.
Nope.
You'd want to check in, make sure things are going well, you know?
Exactly. That's the performance review in action.
It's about checking in, making sure everyone's on the same page.
And dealing with problems before they get huge.
And the cool thing is, the article mentioned this helps both sides.
It does.
Yeah, it's not just the buyer keeping the supplier in check.
Oh, interesting. So what's in it for the supplier?
Well, they get feedback.
Ah, makes sense.
They learn what they're doing well and where they can improve.
So it's like maybe there was a communication issue they didn't know about.
Exactly. Or a logistical thing that was causing delays.
Right, so it strengthens the relationship.
It does. It creates a partnership where everyone benefits.
It's all about talking openly and working together.
This is making me realize I could be doing more of this in my own life.
How so?
I tend to just go with the flow, but maybe I should be more clear about what I expect.
Setting those expectations early on can make a big difference.
And checking in, giving feedback.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a big formal thing.
Right.
Just a quick email or call to see how things are going.
That makes it seem less intimidating.
It is. It's not about paperwork. It's about being thoughtful and taking charge.
I like that. It feels like a key takeaway from this whole deep dive.
I agree.
Whether you're a massive company or just a regular person making a purchase, these ideas of strategic buying are super helpful.
They are. So, to sum it up,
Find the right partners, lay out your expectations, pay attention to details, and check how things are going regularly.
yep, and by doing that,
We can all make better choices, build better relationships, and get better results.
couldn't have said it better myself.
This has been so eye-opening. It's amazing what we can learn from how these big companies operate.
It is, and it's inspiring to see how we can use those same ideas in our own lives.
Even if we're not dealing with millions of dollars.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
all about being smarter, more strategic, and more in control.
I love it. So the next time you're making a big decision, whether it's hiring a contractor or buying something new,
Don't forget what we learned today.
do your research, ask good questions, and don't be afraid to speak up if something's not right.
Because it's all about finding those solutions that make everyone happy.
Well said. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. It's been fascinating.
It's been a pleasure.
And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in.
We hope you found this helpful.
And remember, keep learning, keep exploring, and keep asking those tough questions.
Until next time.